Chair, I just do want to read into the record that the agenda today says that we're going to be engaged with Martin Fraser, Secretary General of the Department of the Taoiseach, in the appointment of UN special envoys. In doing so, I think it's important to understand the culture in which these special envoys or these top-level positions are allocated. So some of my questions will pertain to the culture within the department, and I will be standing firm that that should be allowable under the terms of the agenda. Mr. Fraser, when did you know exactly that Katherine Zappone was going to be appointed as a UN envoy? Did you know before you got the memo? Had you heard it? Had to be in talk? I can't hear you. You're on mute.
So the answer to that is I don't know. It's possible it was mentioned to me. Genuinely don't know. The first time I knew for certain was on the night I got that memorandum. And I had no involvement in it, Deputy. And Deputy, I'm happy to talk to you about your questions about culture and all that, because I think they're very, very fair questions. I just don't know. It's possible it was mentioned to me, but it really wasn't something I was dealing with.
Mr. Fraser, we only have 2 other special envoys. This was going to be our third. You're saying it may have mentioned to you. You're a most senior civil servant. You're going to be an ambassador. You're telling me that may have been mentioned to you, but you don't remember the context in which that happened?
And the reason being that I was aware that Katherine Zappone had worked with Foreign Affairs. I don't work in Foreign Affairs. You do understand that, obviously, Deputy. So, and you've seen the FOI. I had no involvement in any of this until the Cabinet meeting. Okay. Because Katherine Zappone had worked for Foreign Affairs in the past, it wouldn't have been something that would seem unusual to me. Envoys, I really had no engagement with envoys, Deputy. But just, I say the question of culture, etc. I accept, and I'm happy to explore that with you, honestly. But that's just, I wasn't involved in this appointment.
I don't think you were involved, but I wanted to understand when you became aware, and I believe that you became aware before you got the memo the day before. Is that fair to say?
I can check that with Mr. Woods. I might have become aware a couple of days earlier when I saw there was a blank memo on the Friday. It really wasn't registering as a big thing with me. I'm sorry. I know this looks like a big thing in hindsight. It wouldn't have registered as a big thing with me. It was Foreign Affairs business. That's the honest answer.
Okay, thank you.
Even there were bigger things on the agenda. Deputy Gannon.
I'm going to ask, is there a culture in the Department of Foreign Affairs of well-connected people being given important jobs without going through fair and open process? Do you believe there's a culture there? Is there any other examples you can think of an important job in the Department of Foreign Affairs being given without a fair and open process that you yourself had been involved in?
No, I don't. Sorry. No was the answer. But I don't work in the Department of Foreign Affairs, so
you do have a senior role within the top-level appointments committee, don't you?
Yeah. Could I say to Deputy Gannon? Could I say to Deputy Gannon here before we proceed? You know, I would ask that direct and concise questions be put to the Secretary of the Government on the basis of the invitation. Asking the Secretary of the Government about a culture in the Department of Foreign Affairs is really not something that A, is relevant to this meeting, or B, is something that the Secretary of the Government could comment on.
Well, actually, Chair, I introduced the concept of the culture. The Secretary, Mr. Fraser, was appointed Director General of Global Ireland in the Department of Foreign Affairs without fair and open process.
I wasn't involved in that either, Deputy. I'm on the top level appointments committee. There are 15 members of that. I don't know how that post came out. John Gannon has been on secondment here in the past. It's a while ago now. I don't honestly know how that appointment was made.
Okay, they didn't go through the...
In any event, the top-level appointments committee has absolutely nothing to do with our deliberations this afternoon or on the subject matter of the appointment of special envoys. Absolutely nothing. Anyway, Deputy Gannon.
It's very clearly pertains to the...
A relevant question, please.
These appointments I made. Mr. Fraser, you've been appointed to the UN, to the ambassador to the UK. Congratulations on that role. When did the Taoiseach become aware that you'd become ambassador to the UK? Was it at that meeting when there was when Katherine Zappone?
So that process is a different process to the one that the committee has been talking about. So, Deputy, might as well, because I'm sure you want to know the full story there. So I'll tell you. So the terms of my appointment, I was appointed to this position in 2011, and the terms of my appointment are that basically it's a 7-year term. following which you either retire. Despite the aging you guys are helping me through here, I'm too young to retire, or else I get transferred to another civil service role, or I get a job in an international organisation. So my 7-year term was up. Well, obviously 2018. I got a 3-year extension by agreement with the Taoiseach at the time. That was really because we were doing Brexit, and it was fairly heavy stuff at the time. I obviously have a lot of background in that, and my term was up July of this year. And well, one way or another, I discussed it with the Taoiseach on a number of occasions, and we agreed that I would do one more year, mainly because the pandemic. I probably would have been leaving with leave and whatever. I would have been leaving back in January or February, and I do a lot of work in the pandemic. I do work on various things, so we agreed I'd do another year. The government agreed to that early in July, formally, and but I also felt it was time for me to move on. And obviously the options, as I said to you, are another job in the civil service or retirement or an international organisation. So I had various discussions with the Taoiseach, obviously discussed it with the Taoiseach, discussed it with Minister Ryan, discussed it with Minister McGrath because he's the Minister for the Public Service, and had some discussions with the Secretary General of Foreign Affairs. Obviously it's a Foreign Affairs position, it's a civil service position in the Department of Foreign Affairs, and obviously with Minister Coveney, who offered me the position ultimately. So that was a process that's been underway for, well, a good few months now. You can't move somebody out of a job like mine sort of without perfect planning. But it's a lot of personal stuff for me there, as you can imagine, family and whatever else. So it's not nothing,
Thanks.
In any event, Mr. Fraser, there was no relationship between that and the proposed appointment of Dr. Katherine Zappone.
Chair, just in terms of just get clarification, Mr. Fraser, you're going to come back to us and tell us when you became aware that Katherine Zappone had been appointed.
I will, yeah. It's quite possible it was mentioned to me. Honestly, I'll find out. I'll ask Niall, did he say to me. And my first official knowledge of it was when I got that memo on the Monday night.
Can I ask, did you receive or did you attend an invitation to the marrying event that was held by Mrs. Zappone?
No.
You didn't receive any invitation for that either, no?
No.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Deputy Gannon. Deputy